Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Asa Frey with Clinica Back to the Garden, which is a residential health and education center located in San Juan, beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico. If you don't know us or have never heard of us before, we are again a residential health and education center. We specialize in water-only fasting, that is supervised or physician-supervised water-only fasting. We have an actual residential center where people come and stay with us, and we monitor their health as they get well. Most of our patients at the center are fasting. As you can tell, I'm using my headphones today because there's just so much noise outside. The guys are cutting the grass and doing some work in the street. And well, this is the time I have to do this live for you guys, and I like to do this. And I hope you guys appreciate that I do it. And so we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. I hope that you guys can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me well. And if you can't, then I'll try to figure out some way to fix it. But I'm assuming that you guys can hear me. Please just give me a quick thumbs up so I know that everything is fine, and we'll go ahead and start. Today, yes, Lizaris Garcia, thank you. Marieli, thank you very much. So we are going to continue. Last time, we talked about some of the bonus or hidden benefits to a fast. Fasting does change who we are as a person, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. Again, there are so many benefits to fasting. Most of the benefits that we often talk about are physiological benefits or changes to the physical body. Benefits for hypertension and diabetes and autoimmune conditions, as well as certain types of cancer, skin conditions, intestinal disorders, hypothyroidism. There are so many different benefits from a fast. And last time we spoke about how fasting changes who we are and how us humans normally are not very conscious, right? We tend to live in our own minds, thinking about the past and worrying about the future, and we are rarely, present and aware in the moment that we are actually in. Lots of people call this practicing mindfulness, when we're actually practicing being in the present moment. I try to. Good morning, Jocelyn. Good morning. Tell me where you're from. I love to know where everybody's from. Hope we get tons of people from Puerto Rico and some people from the United States. Let me know. And if you guys have questions or, ideas for topics that you might want me to cover, I will try to answer them as best I can. Sometimes there are just too many questions or they're just way off topic, so then I'll glance over them. But please, if you have questions, write them down. Maybe we can answer them during the session today. Okay? Again, I don't like to use the word mindfulness. And that doesn't mean that the practice of mindfulness is something that I do not promote. I think it's great. I just don't like to use that word because it implies that you're filling your mind up with something. Right? And that's kind of the opposite of what Texas, very good, from Texas. Who else? That's kind of the opposite of what we're looking for. Right? We're not trying to fill our minds up with other things. We're actually trying to focus on the present moment so that we stop, obsessing over the past and worrying about things that are going to happen in the future. But before we get into fasting today and how fasting changes who we are, I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions. Jesus Lopez from Puerto Rico. Que bueno verte. Let me know what you guys think. Ask questions. I'll try to answer them. So one of the most frequently asked questions that we get is about hurricanes. Not that we know anything, about hurricanes themselves, but we see many patients, and we saw many patients come in after the hurricane, and many times we heard in the office that due to the hurricane, people had to sort of abandon their healthy diet and eat food that wasn't really very healthy for them. And let's take a look at that, right? So normally the question is, can you be a vegan during a hurricane, or the period just after the hurricane? Can you maintain a vegan diet after a hurricane? Well, let's think about that, okay? What happens during a hurricane? Well, a hurricane comes, and hello, Lobita, how are you? Hello, Justin, again. So a hurricane comes, and it does, a significant amount of damage, and you lose, most likely you lose power, right? You lose electricity, and you also lose water. And that makes it difficult to maintain what you think is a healthy diet, or maybe you think a vegan diet is healthy, and so you want to maintain your vegan diet. And some people think that it might be difficult to maintain a vegan diet without electricity or water. Now, let's think about that a little bit. What do you actually need, right? During a hurricane, we lose water and power, so we don't have electricity. So that makes it difficult to what? To refrigerate food. You don't have your refrigerator, right? Unless you're running your planta or your generator all the time, you don't have a refrigerator to keep food, okay? So what actually do we need to refrigerate? We absolutely need to refrigerate animal products, right? These are the first things that are going to go bad. Right? Without refrigeration, we should never eat animal products. Any type of animal product, processed animal products, processed meat, chicken, turkey, cows, pigs, chickens, dogs, cats, any type of meat goes bad very quickly without refrigeration, right? There's tons of bacteria in meat. And in fact, it's very dangerous to eat meat if it's not being refrigerated constantly. Same with milk and cheese and dairy, right? These things need to be refrigerated. So if you don't have power, those are the first things that we are going to have to stop eating, right? Are meat, dairy products, and eggs, okay? So in the event of a hurricane, and if you don't have a generator that can run your refrigerator, you actually have to go on a vegan diet, right? You have to begin avoiding those foods, animal products, dairy, and eggs. Does that make sense? Is everybody following me? Okay? Please ask me a question if you think this is not making sense. Maybe I'm missing something. So during a hurricane, this is actually forcing you to eat foods that are not animal products, that do not need to be refrigerated, okay? What kind of products are those? Those things are fruits and vegetables. Vegetables do last a significant amount of time without refrigeration. We're talking about beans, rice, other dried foods, right? Canned food, okay, which is, canned food is, mushrooms and corn and peas and beans. And, if you went into the supermarket after the hurricane, that is what you would see. You would see tons of canned fruit, canned vegetables, canned beans, okay? So to be honest, after the hurricane, my diet really didn't change all that much. Yes, there was not a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, so most of my diet, shifted more towards starchy foods. I was eating more beans, more rice. There were some Beyond Us available. And so there was less fresh fruit, a little bit less fresh vegetables, but I certainly did not need to eat meat. In fact, there was, we didn't have a refrigerator, so I couldn't eat any animal product or cheese or dairy or eggs, and I don't eat those ever anyway, but it's actually going to be 100% easier to maintain what we would consider to be a vegan diet during a hurricane. Now, what actually happens during a hurricane is we tend to use the hurricane as an excuse to go and eat out, right? Thank you. You guys are appreciating this? Very good. Tampa, Florida, good to see you. Carla Gonzalez, hello. So we use the hurricane as sort of an excuse to go and eat out. There were a few restaurants open, right, that had their generators running, that were refrigerating things, and they were selling food. And we all used that time as an excuse to go visit those restaurants, and we would just say, oh, well, it's the hurricane, so I'm going to eat whatever they have. And sadly, what they have is just very unhealthy food. It's just very unhealthy. And so if that's where your mind is, then absolutely you're going to go eat out, and you're probably going to break your diet, or break your healthy diet, or break your vegan diet, and eat some things that you would not normally eat. What I saw is people actually gained weight in that process just after the hurricane. People actually ate more calories and more food and more junk after the hurricane, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? When there's a natural disaster and there's not a lot of fresh food and the roads, there's not a lot of good transportation, most civilizations and societies would lose weight, right? That's what's happening in Venezuela, right? There's not a lot of people are losing weight, right? But here, not the case. After the hurricane, everybody gained weight. There were so many more people in the hospitals because people were sicker, because they were eating much poorer food, and there was a bigger burden on society. So I hope you guys understood that. But to answer the question specifically, can you be a vegan during a hurricane? Well, it's just kind of it makes me laugh because if you don't have electricity, you have to eat, canned beans and fruits and vegetables and whatever is available, right? The meat and the dairy and the eggs, those things go bad very quickly, and if you eat them, you probably end up sick and dying. So those are the first foods that you would get rid of. So yes, it's very easy to maintain a healthy vegan diet, after the hurricane. Now, if you're eating, vegan junk food, vegan junk food is just like non-vegan junk food. It's all unhealthy. And if you're eating chips and cookies and snack food and things that you buy at the gas station, don't plan on having a healthy body if you continue to put that stuff in your system. But we're talking about eating a healthy vegan diet. And myself and my family, we went through the hurricane, and our diet really hardly changed. We made sure that we had a gas stove. And for this year, everyone needs to be prepared with their gas stove and have your rice and your dry beans and other grains so that you can cook, rice and beans and other grains. Okay? So, now, if anybody has any questions about that, please ask. We're going to move on and talk about part number 2. So part number 2 of fasting changes who we are. Again, previously, last week, I believe it was a Monday, we talked about how fasting changes our lack of consciousness, right? Changes how we consistently disregard ourselves and our health. What happens when you're unconscious, right? What happens when we're trapped in our own thoughts? Well, you end up doing things that you wouldn't normally do, or a rational person would not normally do. For instance, you end up standing in line at the movie theater, not the line for tickets, right? Not the line for tickets, the other line. There is another line, right? That's the line for food, right? My wife and I go to the movies very often, probably more often than I would like, but I love my wife, and so I like to go to the movies with her. And we stand in line and we buy our tickets, and then we go inside to the movie and we pass a line of 50 people that are waiting in line actually to buy food, right? You can't call it food, but they're waiting in line to buy things to eat, right? Hold on, we got a question here. Let me just go back so I don't forget this. Do I have a guide on how much rice and beans to store in preparation for a hurricane? No, I don't. What I saw last, during the hurricane where we didn't have power for about 4 months, there was plenty of food, at least in San Juan, okay? What you do, you need to buy lots of canned beans, right? And canned beans are the best. Just buy lots of them. I really don't have a guide for you. You should probably ask Maria Elena if she has a guide, because I know that she is preparing diligently for this hurricane. So you should probably ask her. Okay, so where was I? So you find yourself, if you're not really conscious in the present moment, right? If you're not focused and aware of what is actually going on. Yes, I know you do, Maria Elena. I know she does. Hello, Carlos Alberto Cardenas. How are you? We find ourselves waiting in the line at the movie theater for food, like to actually buy things to eat. People actually eat this food. It's hot dogs and pizza and chips and Doritos and candy and popcorn that's smothered with a bunch of hydrogenated oil and plastic butter syrup. I don't know what they put on there, but it's certainly not food. And how do you rationalize that? How do humans actually rationalize ingesting food that they know is incredibly dangerous and very harmful, right? What do we say? Well, we'll come up with some sort of excuse like this. It will sound like this. Well, I was at the movies, right? And everyone else was eating, right? Everyone else was standing in line, and really there was nothing healthy there to eat. And well, I was hungry. I didn't eat beforehand, and I certainly didn't bring any food. And well, everyone else was eating, and I just had to eat. I just had to eat, right? I just had to eat. I had to eat something, right? We do that. Another example. Maybe it's not the movie theater. Maybe it's your grandma's house, right? You know that your grandma or your mother or some relative doesn't make very healthy food. And you know that when you go and visit her, there's not going to be a healthy option. And so you wind up at your grandmother's house, and you knew there wasn't going to be any healthy food, and now you're there and there is no healthy food. And you say something like this. You say, well, everyone was there and everyone else was eating, and well, there was not really any healthy food to choose from, and I felt like people might judge me if I didn't eat, and so well, I was hungry, and I just had to eat something. I just had to eat something, right? We all do that in one way or another. And I'm not singling anyone out. That's just how humans normally act. Okay? That's how we process things in our brains. But that is not conscious behavior, right? That is what we call unconscious behavior. We'll make other excuses. We'll make excuses like, oh, it's too expensive, right? It's too expensive, right? The bananas are too expensive. The oranges are too expensive. The mangoes. The potatoes are too expensive. The rice is too expensive. The cheapest foods on the planet. But we make those excuses. Oh, it's too expensive to eat healthy. Oh, I don't have time, right? I don't have time to peel the banana, right? That takes about half a second to peel the banana. But, oh, I don't have time to do that. I'm too busy. I'm too busy to, wash lettuce and cut it and put it in a bowl and eat it. I'm too busy to do that. Or we'll say something like this. We'll say, oh, my husband doesn't support me. The rest of my family doesn't want to eat healthy. My kids won't eat healthy. Or oh, I don't have enough recipes, right? Oh, I need more. You guys, please, back to the garden. Give me more recipes. Give me this recipe and give me this recipe. And we're really happy to give you guys recipes, but that's really not what you need to transition to a healthy diet. All you need is to figure out where the produce aisle is in the grocery store, right? And all you really need is like a good knife. You need like a good cutting knife, and that's it, right? You don't even need a fork or a spoon. right? Your hands make very good utensils, but a good knife helps sometimes. So these are really just excuses because we don't feel like we're in complete control of our health. And the first thing that we went over last time was a concept called acceptance, right? And I'll briefly summarize what I talked about last time, and then we'll move on, okay? This first step is called acceptance, okay? There's a process to fasting. We sign the informed consent. You show up for the fast. You actually have to schedule your fast. And you accept the challenge, right? You actually get to accept and give yourself the gift of fasting. You don't really have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You get to do nothing. You actually get to do nothing, right? You schedule your fast in order for you to give yourself the gift of doing nothing. The challenge is really overcoming the idea that you needed to do something in order to achieve your goals. In fact, you don't have to do anything. You actually get to do nothing. When was the last time that you gave yourself that gift? Think about it. When was the last time that you actually gave yourself the gift of doing nothing? Probably never. Actually encouraging yourself to do nothing, to truly rest your mind and your body for an extended period of time, right? Not just for, the half an hour where you watch your favorite, reality TV show before you go to bed. I'm talking about an extended period of giving yourself that gift of doing nothing for your body and your mind. For longer than just Sunday morning where you press the snooze button and you sleep an extra 10 minutes. And everyone is deserving of that gift. Everyone, no matter who you are special enough. It doesn't matter your title or your achievements or, the terrible things that you've done in the past, right? That you deserve that time to rest, enough to reach your goals, enough time doing nothing to recuperate. And you are the only one who gets to decide that, right? Which is actually you accepting yourself, accepting responsibility for yourself as well. So today we're going to talk about the number 2 benefit of doing a fast, which is what I call it surrender, okay? Surrender. When most people think about surrender, they think about, one army fighting another army, and one of the armies is, being beaten down so badly that they finally give up. That's not really what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about more of an armistice, okay, where both sides decide, okay, it's time for everything to stop and for us to take a break, okay? You have to, or you must, or you're gently forced to surrender your life from before, okay? When you come to do a fast, your life does not come with you, okay? The train of your life really does need to be stopped in order to exact or fix or repair things, right? You can't do this while the train is moving, while the train is speeding on down the tracks, while your life and your brain is constantly doing things and worrying about the future, and you have your kids and your husband and the house and your job, and you have all this pressure, and you're constantly doing things. That train, you're not really going to do any significant recuperation or healing while that train is still rolling on down the tracks. You need to stop the train, let the engine cool down, right? Then you check the wheels, you check the gears. The train needs to be painted. Let's paint the train. You go through the train, you go through the aisles, and maybe you throw out some passengers that were causing issues from before. Some passengers maybe who didn't buy their tickets, maybe they're stowaways. Of course, this is just an analogy. But everything needs to stop in your life in order to make profound changes in your life or your health. And it's not a vacation, okay? Fasting is not a vacation. typical vacations are wildly unhealthy. You travel, you don't sleep enough, you eat too much, you drink too much, you're even more busy, right, trying to enjoy yourself, right? You're trying to make the most of your vacation, and you also tend to disregard yourself and your health during vacations. Most people come back from vacations and they're more tired and they're more sick than before they went to take their vacations. So I don't consider them typically to be such a good thing as far as health goes. Your family, your kids, your routine, your office, your clients, your title, your achievements, your problems, your responsibilities, none of these things come with you to do a fast. Okay? All these things get left outside the door, and you come in to do a fast, and you give that gift to yourself. Fasting is, like I said before, more of an armistice. Okay? It's sort of an agreement of surrender on both sides, where you give yourself permission to stop, to take a break. And there's really nothing extra to do, right? Fasting is only drinking pure water in an environment of pure rest while you're being supervised by an experienced physician. And there really is nothing else to do, nothing else to add to that process to obtain the benefits of fasting and detoxification. There are no cleanses, powders, pills, products, treatments, teas, enemas, essential oils, which when added will improve the fasting process. Your body doesn't need extra things, right? Nature does not need your puny aid. That's not my quote, that's a quote from Dr. Herbert Sheldon. Nature does not need your puny aid. It just needs the correct environment to rest and heal. And fasting provides a perfect environment to do that. So during the fast, you're gently forced to surrender to the process. You may be uncomfortable, right? Fasting patients do have symptoms. Those symptoms are part of the process. And there's still really nothing to do about those symptoms. In fact, you really can't do anything about them. You finally get to experience the healing process. I'll say that again. You finally get to experience the healing process. You don't have to experience it, right? This is your choice. You have free will. You're free to choose whatever you want to choose. You don't have to experience it. You could continue your life and taking your remedies and your pills and your treatments and your enemas and your essential oils and your teas in order to remedy, some symptoms. But during a fast, there's nothing really to do. And you finally get to experience the healing process, and that comes along with symptoms. And it is quite the experience. You actually get to be there, present for the headache, present for the nausea, present for the reflux, present for the terrible smell of your own body and your own breath, the emotional changes that you go through. Fasting patients tend to get quite emotional on certain days, and other days they tend to be incredibly joyful. You get to be present while your skin clears up, while your acne goes away, while your psoriasis clears up, while you drop weight, while the weight starts to come off. Right? The weight just disappears. Maybe you see your feet again, right? You haven't seen your feet for like 15 years, and now finally you can see your feet again. Maybe you can see some other things that you hadn't seen in a while, right? Maybe your joints can move again. Maybe your inflammation in your joints, your osteoarthritis, your rheumatoid arthritis, your psoriatic arthritis, your erosive, that inflammatory process inside the joints starts to dissipate, and it does. Consistently with all fasting patients. Pain starts to subside. You begin to actually look like yourself again, maybe someone that you haven't seen in a very long while. Often people say they actually feel great during a fast, right? They may be lacking of energy, maybe a bit weak overall, But most people feel fantastic. Better than they felt in years. Better than they felt in 10, 15 years. They feel like they did back when they were in high school. Yes, they might be weak. They might be, have less energy. But that feeling of vitality and well-being, typically, that's a feeling that everyone experiences during a fast. And that feeling can be maintained if you do your fast correctly, if you're supervised by someone experienced, and if you do your refeed correctly as well. So, we're going to have another live next week, which is going to be part 3, where I'm actually going to talk about presence, how fasting facilitates that presence in detail, how fasting facilitates that awareness, that consciousness, right? And that's one of the biggest things that changes about our psychology and our spirituality while we fast, is that we are allowed to be present. We get to experience presence. And that is worth anything. So please tell me questions today. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to go over these real quick. Actually, let's see if we can get on Facebook here, and I can see your questions a little bit more clearly. Again, hello to everyone that's out there. Spit out any questions that you have. Feel free to ask whatever you want. Here, I'm going to put myself on and reread these questions because it's too hard to do over the phone. And thank you guys for joining in. We had some people from Florida, from Texas, 1 or 2 New Yorkers, plenty of people from Puerto Rico. Let me go back over these questions. You're welcome. You're welcome, Carlos Alberto Cardenas. You're welcome. Hello, Juana. Hello, Jomaris. Hello, Marieli. Hello, Lisaris. No questions. You guys don't have any questions about fasting, anything at all. Thank you for all this great information. Thank you, Carla. Okay, well, that's it. You're from Utuado. Brilliant. Utuado. That's like right in the middle of the island. That's actually where we get our greens. We have Coupe Zipline, or Bate Zipline, it's in Adjuntas, which is just south of Utuado, but that's where we get our vegetables every week. Okay, no questions. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time, okay? Next week, Monday, same time. I'll try to do that for you if I have time. All right, have a good one, you guys. Bye-bye.